The notification came through at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was brushing my teeth, getting ready for bed, when my phone buzzed on the bathroom counter. An unknown number. A video file with no message attached. I almost deleted it. Spam. Probably. Or worse, one of those malware links that IT had warned us about at work. But something made me tap it anyway. Maybe just curiosity, maybe the late are dulling my usual caution. The video was short, only 43 seconds. Security camera footage, judging by the angle and timestamp in the corner. A hotel lobby, upscale by the looks of it. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, those oversized leather chairs that cost more than my first car. The date stamp read 3 weeks ago. Thursday, March 14th. 6:47 p.m. I was about to close it when I saw her. My wife walked into frame wearing that navy dress, the one with the small white flowers. I knew that dress. I'd complimented her on it that exact night before she left for book club. She was meeting the girls at Patricia's house, she'd said. They were discussing some bestseller about a woman who disappeared, the kind of psychological thriller she loved. But she wasn't at Patricia's house. She stood near the elevator bank, checking her phone, tucking a strand of dark hair behind her ear in that familiar gesture I'd watched 1,000 times. Then a man approached from the lobby bar. Tall, well-dressed in a charcoal suit, salt and pepper hair. They didn't embrace, but the way they stood, close, comfortable, familiar, made my stomach drop. They talked for maybe 20 seconds. She laughed at something he said, touched his arm briefly. Then they walked to the elevators together. He pressed the button. They waited, standing shoulder to shoulder. When the doors opened, they stepped inside. Gone. I watched the video 3 more times, each viewing hollowing me out a little more. Then I checked our text messages from that night. Her, 6:15 p.m., just got to Patricia's. This book is so good. Can't wait to discuss. Love you. Her, 9:43 p.m., heading home now. Debate ran long lol. Want me to pick up anything? Me, 9:45 p.m., I'm good. Drive safe. I remembered that night clearly now. She'd come home around 10:15, slightly flushed, blamed it on Patricia's too strong margaritas. She'd kissed my cheek, said the book discussion had been intense, then headed straight for the shower. I'd been watching the basketball game, barely looked up. The bathroom suddenly felt too small, too bright. I gripped the edge of the sink, staring at my reflection. 15 years of marriage. 15 years. We had 2 kids sleeping down the hall. We had a mortgage, a golden retriever, season tickets to the theatre. We had inside jokes and shared dreams and a vacation to Greece planned for our anniversary in June. We had, I thought, trust. I saved the video to my camera roll and blocked the unknown number, though I knew it didn't matter. Whoever sent it had already accomplished their goal. The question was why? Why now? Why me? Why this moment? Was it the man's wife who'd hired a private investigator? A concerned friend? A bitter enemy? Did it even matter? I walked into our bedroom where she lay sleeping, her face peaceful in the dim glow of her phone charger. She'd fallen asleep reading again. Her tablet rested on the nightstand, still displaying the cover of some romance novel. She looked innocent, content, like someone incapable of deception. But I'd just watched her lie to me with 43 seconds of silent video evidence. I could have woken her right then. Could have shoved the phone in her face and demanded answers. Could have let 16 hours of rage pour out in the middle of the night while our kids slept. Instead, I took my pillow and walked downstairs to the couch. I needed time to think. Time to decide if I wanted the truth or if I wanted to pretend I'd never received that video. Because once I asked the question, once I opened that door, there would be no closing it again. By morning, I'd watched the video 27 times. By morning, I'd made my decision. Thursday evening arrived with an almost scripted symmetry. Book club night again. She was getting ready in our bedroom, standing before the mirror applying mascara, humming something tuneless and cheerful. She wore jeans and a casual sweater this time. Patricia's house, she'd said earlier, very casual tonight, just wine and snacks. Is there book club tonight? I asked from the doorway, keeping my voice level, almost disinterested. Mem, she murmured, focused on her reflection. Should be home by 10 or so. Same as always. Same as always. The phrase hung in the air like smoke. I'd spent 2 days preparing for this moment. 2 days watching that video on loop, cross-referencing dates, checking credit card statements, reviewing our shared calendar. The rabbit hole went deeper than one Thursday night. March 14th wasn't an anomaly. It was a pattern. February 7th, book club at Sandra's place. Credit card showed a charge at Giovanni's, an Italian restaurant downtown, 7:32 p.m. Table for two. January 24th, book club moved to Thursday this week. Her car's GPS history, I'd finally checked, something I'd never thought to do, showed an address for the Riverside Hotel. December 13th, extended book club meeting, holiday party after. Phone record showed a 2-hour call with a number saved in her contacts as plumber, kitchen sink. We'd never had any plumbing issues. The evidence folders on my laptop had grown obscene. Screenshots, receipts, location data, that video playing silently on repeat. I'd become a detective in my own marriage, and every clue I uncovered felt like swallowing glass. Which book are you discussing tonight? I asked. She paused, mascara wand hovering. The new Celeste Ng. We've been reading it for 2 weeks. I nodded slowly. I'd called Patricia yesterday. Casual conversation. Just checking in. She'd mentioned book club had been on hiatus for a month. Too many scheduling conflicts. They were planning to restart in May. Before you go, I said quietly, I need to ask you something. Something in my tone made her turn. She studied my face, and I watched her smile falter slightly, uncertainty creeping into her eyes. What's wrong? She asked. You've been weird the last couple days. I pulled out my phone, opened the video, and turned the screen toward her. I didn't say anything at first. Just let it play. Let her watch herself in that navy dress, in that hotel lobby, with that man. The color drained from her face. Is this you in that video? I asked, my voice remarkably calm considering my heart was hammering against my ribs. Weren't you supposed to be at book club? She went completely still. Not the stillness of innocence, but the frozen paralysis of someone whose world just shattered. Her eyes were locked on the screen, watching her past self walk toward those elevators. Where did you, she started, then stopped. Swallowed hard. I can explain. I'm sure you can, I said. You've been explaining things to me for months, haven't you? All those book club meetings. All those late nights. All those detailed stories about what you discussed, which characters you loved, which plot twists surprised you. It's not, her voice cracked. It's not what it looks like. I almost laughed. The oldest line in the infidelity playbook. That's the Riverside Hotel lobby. March 14th, 6:47 p.m. You texted me at 6:15 that you were at Patricia's house. I know the carpet in that lobby. I know that dress. I told you that morning how beautiful you looked. I know that timestamp. And I know you're lying to me right now, the same way you've been lying to me for months. Tears welled in her eyes, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no urge to comfort her. Just a cold, spreading numbness. Who sent you that? She whispered. Does it matter? Would the truth change depending on who exposed it? She sank onto the edge of our bed, still holding her mascara, that tiny wand of normalcy in a moment where everything normal had evaporated. I never wanted you to find out like this. But you wanted me to find out eventually? Or were you planning to just keep lying forever? I moved closer, standing over her. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sit there, and you're going to tell me everything. All of it. Every detail, every lie, every moment. And if I catch you in one more lie, if I sense even a hint of deflection or minimization, I'm walking out that door and you'll hear from my lawyer. Please, she said, mascara-stained tears now rolling down her cheeks. Please let me explain. It's complicated. Then uncomplicate it, I said coldly. Start with his name. Then tell me how long. Then tell me why our 15-year marriage wasn't enough. She looked up at me, And in that moment, I saw a stranger. Someone capable of deception I'd never imagined. Someone who'd kissed me goodnight after spending evenings with another man. Someone who'd sat at our dinner table, helped our kids with homework, planned our future, all while maintaining a parallel life I knew nothing about. His name is David, she finally said, voice barely above a whisper. And it started last November. 6 months. 6 months of lies. I sat down in the chair across from her, phone still in hand, recording now. Keep talking. She talked for 3 hours. I sat in that bedroom chair, phone recording every word, watching my marriage decompose in real time. She spoke haltingly at first, then faster, as if confession provided its own momentum. I didn't interrupt. Didn't ask questions. Just let the truth spill out like blood from a wound that had been festering in darkness. David was a colleague at her firm. She'd mentioned him before, the new senior partner from the Chicago office, brought in to restructure their corporate division. Smart, she'd said. Funny. Good at navigating office politics. She'd told me all this over dinner months ago, casual conversation about work, and I'd nodded along while scrolling through emails, barely listening. It started at a company retreat in November. Team-building exercises in the mountains, trust falls and rope courses, the kind of corporate bonding she usually mocked. Too much wine at dinner, she said. A conversation that went too late. A walk under the stars where he'd confessed his marriage was falling apart, where she'd admitted feeling invisible lately, feeling like she'd disappeared into roles, wife, mother, employee, until there was nothing left of just her. It was just talking at first, she said, though we both knew how that sounded. How every affair probably started with just talking. December brought lunch meetings that stretched long. Coffee breaks that turned into walks around the city. Text messages about work that gradually shifted personal. Nothing physical yet, she insisted, as if that boundary meant something. As if emotional betrayal was somehow less damaging than physical. The first time was January 10th. After-work drinks that became dinner that became his hotel room. The Riverside Hotel, ironically the same place we'd celebrated our 5th anniversary. She cried afterward, she said. Felt disgusted with herself. Swore it wouldn't happen again. But it did happen again, I said flatly. Obviously. She nodded, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. I know this sounds insane, but it felt like I was watching someone else live my life. Like I was having an out-of-body experience. Every time I was with him, I'd think about you, about the kids, about what I was destroying. But then I'd go home and feel like a ghost in my own house, and the next time he'd text, I'd convince myself just one more time wouldn't matter because I'd already crossed the line. The psychology of it was almost fascinating in its predictability. The rationalization, the compartmentalization, the progressive numbing of conscience. I'd read about it in articles about infidelity, never imagining I'd hear these exact justifications from my own wife. How many times? I asked. She hesitated. Does it matter? Yes. 12, she whispered. 12 times between January and now. I did the math. Roughly twice a month. Book club Thursdays. Late work nights. That Saturday she'd said she was helping her sister move. The Sunday she'd volunteered for a charity run I'd offered to join, but she'd insisted I stay home with the kids. Did you love him? The question surprised even me. I don't know, she said, and somehow that answer was worse than yes. I loved how he made me feel. Seen. Interesting. Like I was more than just someone who packs lunches and schedules dentist appointments and reminds everyone about soccer practice. So this is my fault. Heat crept into my voice for the first time. Because I didn't make you feel special enough. No. She looked up sharply. No, that's not what I'm saying. This is completely my fault. My choice. My betrayal. I'm not blaming you for any of this. Then what are you saying? She struggled for words, hands twisting in her lap. I'm saying I lost myself somewhere in the last 15 years. Not because of you, but because of me. Because I stopped prioritizing anything that was just mine. My career became background noise. My friendships evaporated. My hobbies disappeared. I became so focused on being a good wife and mother that I forgot I was supposed to still be a person. So you had an affair. So I made a terrible, selfish, destructive choice, she corrected. And I hate myself for it. I hate that I hurt you. I hate that I became this person. I hate that I can't take any of it back. I stood up, needing to move, to pace, to do anything but sit still with this information. Our bedroom suddenly felt contaminated. How many nights had she laid beside me after being with him? How many times had she kissed me hello knowing where her mouth had been? How many family dinners had she sat through planning her next escape? When was the last time? I asked. She closed her eyes. Last Thursday. The video you saw, that wasn't the last time. We met again last week. 7 days ago. While I'd been helping our daughter with her science project, my wife had been at the Riverside Hotel. While I'd been coaching our son's little league practice, she'd been choosing another man over our family. Did you use protection? The question was clinical, necessary. Always, she said quietly. I was careful about that, at least. At least. As if basic disease prevention deserved credit. Does he know about me? About the kids? Yes. He knows everything. He's married too, has 3 kids. His wife doesn't know. Perfect. We were both the unknowing spouses in someone else's drama. I wondered if his wife was sitting somewhere right now, blissfully ignorant, planning their family vacation while her husband texted my wife. Is it over? I asked. I ended it 3 days ago, she said. After you started acting strange, I knew something was wrong. I told him we couldn't continue, that I needed to focus on my marriage, that it was wrong from the beginning. How noble of you, I said bitterly. You ended your affair because you got caught, not because you suddenly developed a conscience. That's not fair. Fair? I turned on her. You want to talk about fair? Was it fair when you texted me loving messages while planning to meet him? Was it fair when you came home and tucked our kids into bed with hands that had just touched another man? Was it fair when I trusted you completely while you were actively, deliberately, repeatedly betraying that trust? She had no answer. Just sat there crying, mascara running down her face, looking small and broken and nothing like the woman I'd married. I need you to leave, I said suddenly. Pack a bag. Go to your sister's. I can't look at you right now. Please, she begged. Let me stay. Let me try to fix this. Fix what? You can't unfuck him. You can't unlive 6 months of lies. You can't restore trust you systematically destroyed. I opened our bedroom door. Get out. I'll tell the kids you had a work emergency. You have 10 minutes. She left at 9:47 p.m. with a hastily packed suitcase and swollen eyes. I watched from the living room window as her car pulled out of our driveway, taillights disappearing around the corner. Then I sat in the dark for an hour, trying to understand how I'd become a man sitting alone in his living room on a Thursday night, listening to his children sleep upstairs, wondering how to tell them their mother wouldn't be home for breakfast. The video was still on my phone. I watched it again, studying details I'd missed before. The way she smiled at him, genuine, unguarded, different from the smiles she gave me lately. The way he touched her lower back as they walked to the elevator, proprietary and familiar. The way they moved together, synchronized, like they'd done this before. Because they had. 12 times. Friday morning came too soon. I made pancakes, something I only did on weekends, but I needed the kids happy before their world shifted. Our daughter, Emma, age 12, sat at the kitchen counter doing her math homework. Our son, Jake, age 9, was building something elaborate with his Legos at the table. Where's Mom? Emma asked, not looking up from her equations. I'd rehearsed this. She had an early meeting. You know how work gets sometimes. She didn't say goodbye. Emma's tone was accusing. She didn't want to wake you. She'll call later. Jake glanced up. Is Mom coming to my game tomorrow? Little League semifinals. She'd never missed a game. We'll see, Buddy. She's got a lot going on at work right now. I drove them to school, hugged them longer than usual, watched them walk through those doors not knowing their family was fracturing. Then I sat in the parking lot and called my brother. Thomas listened without interrupting while I gave him the abbreviated version. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then, "What do you need?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Advice? Perspective? Someone to tell me what the fuck I'm supposed to do now." "Do you want to save the marriage?" The question hung between us. Did I? Could I? Should I? "I don't know if there's anything left to save," I said. "How do you come back from this? How do you ever trust someone again after they've shown you they're capable of this level of deception?" "Some people do," Thomas said carefully. "Therapy, full transparency, years of rebuilding. It's possible, but it requires both people being completely committed to the work." "And if I don't want to do the work? If I just want to be done?" "Then you have every right to walk away. No one would blame you." After we hung up, I drove to my office but couldn't focus. Sat through a meeting without hearing a word. Responded to emails without reading them. My assistant asked if I was feeling okay. I looked pale, she said. I blamed it on a stomach bug and left early. At home, I finally started going through the evidence systematically. That credit card statement from February showed more than just the restaurant charge. There were Uber rides to hotels I didn't recognize. A charge at a boutique lingerie store. She'd never worn anything new for me. Flowers purchased from a florist near his office. Each line item was another small betrayal, another lie of omission. Her text messages with him were deleted, but our phone records showed hundreds of calls and texts to that plumber number over 6 months. I called the number. It went straight to voicemail. "You've reached David Chen. I'm unavailable right now." I hung up. So he had a name, a voice, an existence beyond my imagination. David Chen. I could look him up, find his LinkedIn, see his face, maybe even contact his wife. The thought was tempting but also exhausting. What would it accomplish besides spreading the pain wider? She called that evening. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. Then again. On the 4th attempt, I answered. "Are the kids okay?" she asked immediately. "They're fine. Asking about you." "What did you tell them?" "Work emergency. But that won't work much longer. We need to figure out what we're telling them." "Can I come home, please? I need to see them. I need to explain." "Explain what?" I cut her off. "You can't tell them the truth. They're 12 and 9. What's your plan? Sit them down and say Mommy was having an affair but she's sorry now." Silence. Then, "I talked to a therapist today. She has experience with couples recovering from infidelity. She said if we both commit to the process." "Stop," I said. "Stop assuming there's a we in this anymore. Stop assuming I want to recover anything. You had 6 months to think about our marriage, to consider the consequences, to make different choices. You didn't. That tells me everything I need to know about your priorities." "That's not fair," she said, voice breaking. "I was confused and lost and making terrible decisions, but I never stopped loving you." "Don't." The word came out sharper than I intended. "Don't you dare tell me you love me. You don't betray people you love. You don't lie to them every day for half a year. You don't risk their health, their emotional stability, their children's well-being because you're feeling unfulfilled. That's not love. That's selfishness wrapped in a prettier word." She was crying again. I felt nothing. "I need time," I said finally. "Time to think, to process, to figure out what I want. You stay at your sister's. I'll handle the kids. We'll tell them you're working on a big project that requires early mornings and late nights. They'll buy that for a week or 2. After that, we'll need a real plan." "And then what?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Maybe we try counseling. Maybe I file for divorce. Maybe I wake up one morning and decide I can forgive you. Or maybe I wake up and realize I already know the answer and I've been lying to myself pretending there's a choice to make." I'll do anything, she said desperately. Whatever you need. However long it takes. I'll go to therapy, I'll quit my job, I'll give you complete access to everything. Phone, email, location, all of it. I'll be completely transparent about where I am and who I'm with. That's not a marriage, I interrupted. That's parole. I don't want a wife I have to monitor like a criminal. I want a partner I can trust. And I don't know if you can ever be that person for me again. After we hung up, I went upstairs and stood in the doorway of each kid's room. Emma asleep with her headphones still in, probably fell asleep listening to music. Jake surrounded by stuffed animals, his nightlight casting shadows on the ceiling. They looked so peaceful, so innocent, so unaware that everything was about to change. How do you tell your children that their family is broken? That their mother made choices that fractured the foundation of their security? That nothing will ever be quite the same again? I didn't have those answers yet. But I knew the truth eventually came for everyone. 2 weeks passed in a strange limbo. She stayed at her sister's. I maintained the facade at home, work project, very demanding, mom's doing great, she'll be home soon. Emma was skeptical but didn't push. Jake accepted it easily, the way 9-year-olds do, more concerned about whether she'd make his next game than why she'd been gone. We met twice during those weeks. Once at a coffee shop where we sat across from each other like strangers, discussing logistics, bills, schedules, how long we could maintain the current lie. Once at a marriage counselor's office, where she cried for 45 minutes while I sat stone-faced, listening to clinical terminology for what she'd done. Betrayal trauma. Attachment injury. Reconciliation roadmap. The therapist asked what I wanted. I said I didn't know. She asked what my wife wanted. My wife said she wanted to save our marriage, to rebuild trust, to prove she could be the partner I deserved. The therapist nodded and gave us homework, write letters to each other expressing our feelings, our needs, our fears. I didn't write the letter. Instead, I spent those 2 weeks conducting an autopsy of our marriage. When had we stopped being partners and become roommates? When had our conversations become purely transactional, calendars and carpools and bills? When had I last really looked at her, seen her, asked about her dreams instead of her day? I wasn't excusing what she'd done. Her choices were her own, her betrayal unforgivable by any reasonable standard. But I couldn't ignore my own role in the slow erosion of intimacy. The nights I'd chosen work over dinner together. The weekends I'd spent coaching Jake's team while she handled everything at home alone. The way I'd responded "that's nice, honey" to things I never actually heard because I was mentally reviewing presentations or checking email. We'd both stopped trying somewhere along the way. The difference was she'd sought comfort elsewhere instead of fighting for what we had. On the 15th day, I picked up Emma early from school for a dentist appointment. In the car, she finally asked the question I'd been dreading. Is Mom having an affair? I nearly ran a red light. What? I heard you on the phone last week. You said something about betrayal and trust. And Mom's been weird when she calls, like she's trying too hard to sound normal. Emma looked at me with eyes too old for 12. I'm not stupid, Dad. I pulled into a parking lot, put the car in park, and turned to face my daughter. She deserved honesty. Maybe not all of it, but more than the lies we'd been feeding her. Your mom made some mistakes, I said carefully. Adult mistakes that hurt our marriage. She's staying with Aunt Michelle while we figure out how to fix things. Are you getting divorced? I don't know yet. Do you still love her? The question pierced something in my chest. Did I? Could I? Love and betrayal seemed incompatible, mutually exclusive, unable to coexist in the same space. I love the person I thought she was, I said. I'm trying to figure out if that person still exists, or if she was someone I imagined all along. Emma nodded slowly, processing. For what it's worth, I think people can change. We read this book in English about redemption and second chances. The teacher said everyone deserves the opportunity to be better than their worst mistake. That's very mature of you. I'm just saying, if you want to try, I won't be mad. And if you don't, I'll understand that too. Just don't stay together because of me and Jake. That's worse than divorce. When had my daughter become so wise? That evening, I finally wrote the letter the therapist had assigned. Not the one she'd asked for, not an exploration of feelings and needs. Instead, I wrote out every question that had haunted me for 2 weeks. Did you think about me when you were with him? Did you compare us? Did you love him, or was this just about escape? Do you understand what you've taken from me, not just fidelity, but the ability to trust anyone completely ever again? Do you understand that even if I stay, I'll always wonder? Every time you're late, every time your phone buzzes, every time you say you're going somewhere, I'll wonder. Is that the marriage you want? Is that the life you're asking me to live? I've spent 2 weeks trying to find a way forward. Trying to decide if love is enough to overcome this. Trying to determine if forgiveness is possible or if I'm just afraid of starting over at 43. And here's what I've realized. I don't know if I can forgive you. But I know I can't forget. And I know that unforgiven, unforgotten betrayal will poison everything if I stay. So here's what I'm proposing. Not reconciliation. Not divorce. Not yet. A separation. 6 months. You get your own place. We tell the kids the truth, an age-appropriate version. We co-parent effectively. We both go to individual therapy. And we see if distance provides clarity. If, after 6 months, we both want to try rebuilding, we'll try. Full transparency, couples counseling, whatever it takes. But if either of us feels it's irreparable, we'll move forward with divorce as amicably as possible. This isn't forgiveness. It's not a promise. It's just space to breathe. Space to figure out who we are without each other, and whether there's anything left worth saving. I sent the letter at midnight. She called immediately. I didn't answer, just texted, read it. Think about it. Let me know tomorrow. Her response came at 2 a.m. I'll do whatever you need. I understand this is more than I deserve. Thank you for not giving up completely. The next morning, I sat the kids down and told them the truth, the edited version. Mom and I were having problems. We both loved them very much. Mom would be getting her own apartment nearby. They'd spend time with both of us. It wasn't their fault. We were working on things. Jake cried. Emma looked relieved that we'd finally stopped lying. I held them both and promised that whatever happened, they'd be okay. We'd all be okay. Whether I believed that promise, I honestly didn't know. 3 months have passed since that conversation. She has an apartment 10 minutes away. The kids stay with her Tuesday and Thursday nights, alternating weekends. We're cordial at exchanges, careful not to fight where they can hear. We're both in therapy, individual sessions, working on ourselves. I've had good days and terrible days. Days where I think maybe we can find our way back. Days where I know we can't. Days where I miss her desperately. Days where I can't stand the sight of her. Days where I feel free for the first time in years. Days where I feel like my life has been amputated. She's different now. Or maybe she's just letting me see who she really is. Vulnerable. Accountable. Willing to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. Whether it's genuine change or performance, I can't tell yet. Last week, Emma asked if we were going to make it. I gave her the only honest answer I had, I don't know yet. But whatever happens, we'll all be okay. Because that's the truth that's emerged from all this wreckage. Life continues. Hearts break and somehow keep beating. Families reconfigure. Trust, once shattered, either reforms into something stronger or remains permanently fractured. I don't know which ending this story gets yet. But I know I'm finally asking the right questions. Not how could she do this, but who do I want to be on the other side of this pain? Not can I forgive her, but can I forgive myself for whatever choice I make? The video is still on my phone. Sometimes I watch it. Not to torture myself, but to remember that people are capable of both profound betrayal and profound change. To remember that nothing is permanent. Not love, not promises, not the life you think you've built. 3 months left in our separation. 3 months to decide if we're brave enough to try again or strong enough to let go. Either way, I'll survive. We all will. And maybe that's enough.